Hello, welcome to this series of tutorial, and I will be covering Microsoft Agent Framework. Now, before we dive into the framework, let's cover some basics. Why learn AI agents? Now, this is a buzzword that we have AI taking over so many things, but using AI agents, what are we trying to achieve? Why only AI agents? What is the ultimate goal of AI? So we will explore those concepts as well as we move along the course because that is a generic question or rather generic pool of questions. So I'm not going to address all of them in this video. I will tell you certain concepts that sort of makes it very much financially and economically an objective, I would say, that we should learn about AI agents. Now, what I have here is Gartner's hype cycle, and AI agents are at the top of the crest. So, what's going to happen is in next few years, it's going to go through this trough of disillusionment, and then it will hit plateau. So, we have around 2 to 5 years. And what we hope is, based on this hype cycle, that there will be significant amount of investments that's going to happen. So as a product builder or as a service provider, this is what we should focus all our efforts on as far as AI is concerned. Now, this hype cycle obviously doesn't cover all the emerging technologies. This is specifically about things related to AI. Now, what AI agents can do for us is first is automation. You can think of business processes, workflows. So AI agents excel at doing those things, specifically because the large language models they have become very much smarter over the years. So you do not have to do too much prompt engineering. And if you can build the context right, you can actually have very limited prompt, a small prompt, and just with having the right context, you should be able to automate a whole lot of things. Then we have co-pilots. These are sort of assistants, and you can say that they may have a chatbot kind of interface, and it is also possible that automation and co-pilots they are like working in sync. You have a chat interface which is a co-pilot, and it's doing automatically things for you. For example, in VS Code, we have this co-pilot agent. It does two things. It automates the code for us, and it's also a co-pilot. Even though I have put all these concepts as separately, but within these co-pilots and automation, we could have things like RAG and NLP because the goal is automation. So when we talk about NLP, we have two large things there. It is one of them is intent determination and one is entity extraction. These are like the regular thing, sort of bread and butter, if you will, in NLP. Then we have RAG. When the importance of context comes, because we always have to provide the right context, only then our automation or copilot is going to work. That's where RAG comes. And there is a whole lot of things that can be done on RAG. We have agentic RAG as well. So there are all sorts of combinations possible. Now, it's not straightforward to build those four things, copilots and automation. If we have to sort of do it, sort of implementation, then we have to write a whole lot of code. So should we spend our time writing code, or should we rather use a library and reuse what the library has to offer for us? What are the things that we are looking for in any agentic workflow that we call agentic AI in a broad spectrum is tool calling. We want to read stuff from the data or in real world some database. So we have let's say Postgres database, and we want to read stuff from it, which is going to be our context. So we need tool calling there. We want the agent to have memory. We should not be telling agent or a chatbot because that's the de facto user interface. Every now and then, what we told it just 5 minutes ago. So agent should be able to retain that information, memory. Observability is also very important. We want to know from costing point of view that how many LLM calls are making the agent is making, how many tool calls are making, what is their output and sorts. Workflow, even though we have agents, but it is not always possible that using just one agent we will be able to automate a whole lot of things. So we would have a series of agents. They would be working together. So there is a workflow going on. Then we have orchestration. How do we hand off the control from one agent to another? These things. Shared states. When we have a certain sort of data structure available to an agent and we are modifying it, we are doing updates on it, we want that information to be passed along to other agents as well. So we need shared states as well. Checkpoints. We do not always want to start from the beginning. We want to start from certain later point down the workflow. Observability. I think we have already covered that. So I will just make this correction here in the slide. Okay. Then we have evaluation. How do we know that the agent output that we are receiving is sort of it meets how the humans want it to be? How do we measure that? And then of course deployment. So we are going to cover all these and more as we go along with the course. So it's going to be a complete agentic AI course. It's going to be very comprehensive, and I have picked Microsoft Agent Framework for that purpose. So it's going to be heavy, and it's going to be a long course. And to tell a little bit about Microsoft Agent Framework, so if you are coming from AutoGen or semantic kernel background, so it's the successor of that. I think by now most of the people who have used the previous framework they would already know. But if you are coming to the this framework for the first time, then you are already in good shape. Uh, I will be doing everything from the scratch, and the concepts that we reuse from those frameworks will be available here as well. So what you need to know is good programming skills in Python, and if you have like few years of experience writing Python code, I think you should be able to follow along with the course. So with that, I will end the presentation here, and I will go to a demo, and then we'll end the video, the first video of this course. So I will walk you through this code at very high level. So what I have here is this agent framework in requirement.txt, normal virtual environment creation, and then installation of that package. And I have deployed this Azure OpenAI endpoint. I'm using Azure service. These demos, they can actually work with the ChatGPT API key as well. But then I need to use often some other Azure services for deployment and whatnot. And being using this Microsoft library, I think it's a good idea to use Microsoft services so it's consistent with the enterprise environment. Because I think the people who would watch this video, they would already be working in an enterprise environment, and it's going to be beneficial for them. And otherwise, if you want, there is so much you can do with ChatGPT if you go for the API route, and this is sort of enterprise way. But this is my thoughts, and the library should not change much. So for example, if you want to use the OpenAI library instead, so you just have to swap this import here. Instead of Azure, you just need the OpenAI responses client. But I will not be covering that. This is just to give you a heads up. I will be strictly following the Microsoft libraries and the Microsoft services because I'm targeting for those enterprise uh, the developers. Then we have this client. So now, if you have worked with ChatGPT, there are this chat completion client and the responses client. Responses client is the latest one. It can track the history of the conversation using this response ID. So I have some snippet here actually. So if I make a responses, if I make use the responses client, then I can actually pass the response ID of the previous response to have a continuation of the conversation. But this is not relevant for the demo, just to explain you a little better what this response API do. Even though it does not matter now in this demo and later in the course as well, because what we are doing is we are creating a chat agent here, and then we have this sort of system prompt here, and then we are asking this user prompt here. There is nothing fancy here, and then everything is asynchronous because we want to have this streaming endpoints later on, so we always go for asynchronous. And here is the output. So nothing fancy, just to give you a taste that how you create this client, and then how you use that client to create an agent. So this is your first agent invocation in an async manner. And as we go along with the videos, I will be covering the other topics as well. And thank you for taking your time. And if you have made all the way till this end, I think I can promise you that this course is going to be very much comprehensive, and you will learn how we build things in the real world because I do that in my professional work as well, where I work, and as well as the projects that I do for other people. This is how I do things. So you will be learning from my experience and a little background about me. I have more than 12 years of experience in software development. So you will also gain what I know. You will learn what I know and how we build things together. So thank you again. Thanks for taking this course. I will see you in the next video. Bye.